Welcome to Green Fashion Dialogues, the official podcast of the STARS project. I'm Simona Vettore, junior expert in circular economy and your host. STARS is part of the Erasmus Plus program, co-financed by the European Union. In this episode, we meet Valeria Siniouchkina, a talented designer, consultant and brand manager of the Belgium-based project BeTheFibre. Valeria will share her journey into sustainable fashion and the inspiring mission behind BeTheFibre, a project dedicated to giving new life to textile waste through innovative recycling and upcycling methods. Together, we'll explore the challenges of upcycling, the balance between environmental, social and economic sustainability, and how projects like BeTheFibre are making a real impact. Stay tuned for valuable insights and advice for anyone interested in transition towards a new era in fashion. Welcome, Valeria. It's a pleasure to have you here. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. First of all, we want to know a little bit about you. Can you introduce yourself and share your journey into sustainable fashion?
Yes, gladly. I am Valeria Siniouchkina. I am Belgian, but with Russian roots, but also a little bit of Ukrainian and Polish. So it's a great mix these days to juggle. I come from the fashion industry. I've been working in various fields in the fashion industry for over 20 years. I'm trained as a fashion designer in the Brussels School of La Cambre, which now basically the best students graduate and basically are artistic directors of the main houses in the world, like Saint Laurent, and now most recently Dries Van Noten since a few days. Then I basically worked for my own brand, but also as a freelance designer for Belgian brands. My brand exported around the world. I also was a retail manager for a Belgian company that does sunglasses and watches. And then now, basically, I am a brand manager in a textile recycling organization called BeTheFibre, which is a non-profit project. And we look for the most sustainable and circular solutions to textile waste reduction in Belgium.
That's very interesting. So,
In a nutshell.
yes, I imagine that it's a long story short. And we talk about BeTheFibre in a few minutes. But before, I wanted to ask you what inspired you to focus on sustainability and where there are any pivotal moments or challenges in your career.
Well, coming from having my own brand, Omsk, it was mostly focused on jerseys, sweatshirts, women's wear. I basically had access to the way our factory in Portugal produced our garments. I went there regularly to assess the quality and also the conditions of the workers. And this was over 10 years ago. So let's say 15. The brand stopped in 2016. So before that, for 10 years, I regularly went abroad to production sites. Already at that time, I thought it was an important aspect to look at how my clothes are made. Also the packaging that we used to ship abroad, because we sold not only in Europe, but also in China, Russia, and Japan. And basically, also my freelance work for a big Belgian company back in the day as a designer opened my eyes to what unfortunately overproduction meant. Also a waste of human resources, because the brand produced very big collections, but a lot of the samples that we produced were never going into production itself, but were left at salesman sample stage. which meant that there was a lot of leftover. And the process of designing is very tedious, in the sense that there was no talk of zero waste design or eco design back then. So the shipping back and forth to Chinese factories or to Indian factories, Turkish factories, it took not only time, money, but also a lot of waste, because and also the carbon footprint from the sending. Already back then, I thought it was a little bit strangely organized and not very efficient. So that opened my eyes to hopefully find a way to maybe hope that the world had a better project for us. Let's say I'm not an economist, but I found at some point in the just before COVID, I was introduced to the donut economy just through flicking through the internet, and it really opened my eyes and made me interested in what is now basically the circular economy. It was quite niche back then, so I started studying during COVID in Cambridge University. This was an online program. I advise it to anybody, called Circular Economy and Sustainable Strategies, Cambridge Business School. And that's how I got a little bit more acquainted with the whole economic framework that nowadays is so hyped and popular. Voila.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, circular economy is anywhere, anyone is talking about this new way of producing. Also, like fashion brands, somehow they try to um, imagine a new way of producing and trying to communicate their circularity or sustainability, depends, but we all know that is not always possible and not always true, let's say.
That's correct. It depends. It's a tricky pattern. I think the younger generation has it in its DNA to look at more healthy ways of navigating through food, through through consumerism basically, and embracing secondhand, embracing repairs, embracing buying less. But unfortunately, the bigger players are becoming bigger, such as Shane, and therefore I think, yeah, we're sitting now in between two chairs in a way. As also from my experience working in textile um, recycling facility, we are seeing now the let's say the downside of overproducing. Obviously, it is not only the fact that we see the videos wherever you want of secondhand being sent to third world countries, and there they are rotting on in landfills, but also in if we try to make initiatives locally, like we are in Belgium, mostly in Flanders and a bit in Brussels, we see that the quality of the secondhand that we are collecting is gone really, really down because of the type of productions that are made by fast fashion. So you basically buy, wear, and throw much faster. Threads are thinner, fabrics are worse. So it ends up in land in basically in the recycling facilities here in Belgium, and we are trying to find solutions for them, but difficult now. Secondhand is popular, that is no without a doubt, but there is so much of it that, for example, for a small country like Belgium, well, at some point the recycling facilities are saturated, and so that's where we stand now.
And here it's the aim of your project, BeTheFibre. Can you explain to us a little bit more about BeTheFibre?
BeTheFibre, it basically started a few years ago. We are a startup, well, no longer, but we are a child of a big organization called We Make Hope, which is a non-profit organization that helps over 200 projects, small-scale development projects around the world. So our aim is to, let's say, build schools, to help with send medical equipment, books. They are sent anywhere from Africa to Haiti. It basically is a yeah, we try to create hope. I mean, that's a little bit maybe pretentious sounding. However, that is the goal of the organization that is already 40 years old. Now, Be the Fiber is more of a helping hand, so facilitator for what we do with the waste once it's collected by our drivers through the metal containers and in through the drop off donation boxes that we have also placed in retail chains or smaller boutiques around Belgium. And so we look at how we sort this. Is it per quality? Is it per composition of the fabric? And then we try to navigate it through the back into the market, be it secondhand, be it uh, let's say recycling, be it also downcycling or upcycling. So all these different words that people use, but sometimes they mix up the meanings, which is completely understandable. So we try to do that on a daily basis with the textile waste that we collect here in Belgium, mostly in Flanders.
This is very interesting and powerful, and we know that we can tackle sustainability in fashion in different ways. There are some that use design, better design, to create more sustainable product, but we also need to collect all the fashion items that we already produced. And you mentioned recycling, upcycling, and downcycling. Can we talk a little bit more about these three different phases of these different phases of recycling? And in particular, I was interested in upcycling and why it is so difficult.
Well, recycling consists of you have the chemical and the mechanical recycling. So chemical is what we basically have been doing with Be the Fiber, because in the end of our process, we also have a part of the textile waste that is processed through the non-water, no color coloring additives through mechanical recycling. And then it is a fabric that is shred. It can be any kind of fabric. Usually, it doesn't really matter the composition of it, but usually we try to use the same tones of the fabric, or it can be jeans, or it can be cotton. Doesn't matter. But rose, the pinks, the blues, the orange, and then it's shredded, and then it turns into pulp, and then fiber again, and then back into fabric. And that is something that we do with Be the Fiber. Now, if you go to our website, you'll see some accessories that were designed previously. This was made in with the Dutch partners of ours. Needless to say, now there are legislations. I'll talk about that later, but you will see more and more recycling plants popping up. But in Europe, there's a few countries that are a little bit more progressive in this field due to also legislations that were already implemented. And then you have the chemical recycling. That is something that is that keeps the same type of quality in place versus the chemical recycling, which reduces the quality of fiber. And the chemical recycling is, for example, for polyester, which is made from PET bottles or recycled polyester. And then you have that's recycling. The downcycling is basically losing the fabric loses its value. So it's something that you can shred. You can use the fabric for insulation, for construction, things that is more yeah, yeah. Basically, it's in a nutshell. And upcycling is where you give your garment more again value, or sometimes even more value. So let's say you have a jeans and then you decide to make it into some custom piece. So you have a hole on your knee, you make it into an embroidery, you fix it with you cut it in two, you take a Levi's, you mix it with a Lee, that makes it a unique piece. So that is something you can probably sell because you have the design aspect to it, so it brings it more value. However, from my experience, the upcycling only works if you really know as a designer what you're doing, if you are creating extremely interesting pieces. And oftentimes the upcycling gives out a little bit of a DIY vibe. Now, I follow a few accounts in the US where this is not the case, where they really manage to make a whole organization out of it, where they employ people who are far away from the employment market, who can repair and upcycle your garments in a really cool way. So, but the price of it is, of course, more high. But on the other side, it is a unique piece. So something like that in the summary. Hope that helps.
Thank you. Thank you for this explanation. And uh, since BeTheFibre work with recycling, did you have any challenge? Did you have to face any challenge with this upcycling phase, and how did you overcome it?
So we made bags. We made two collections. One was fully mechanical recycling. Um, made. So the fabric was one fabric, and we had a nice design. I think sometimes, yeah, you have the challenges of the fiber of the collection, or the fiber that were recycled that are of maybe a lesser quality. And so you see that you have to really check the quality of the garment more than if it were made from raw material. And the second one, yeah, there is the price issue, of course, because recycling chemically or mechanically is an expensive venture. Therefore, if you're trying to make your accessories or whatever you're trying to put back into the market work price-wise, you have to also add your own margin to it. So the garments can become a little bit more expensive, and that's basically the aspects that were a little bit more negative. Now, of course, with as time will do its magic, the recycling facilities will learn from the mistakes and improve their qualities. So only it's a very interesting space to watch.
Mhm. And since the majority of textile is mixed textiles, so synthetic fiber with a little bit of natural fiber, how did you manage this?
So the specificity of mechanical recycling is that you can use any kind of composition you want. They do privilege the cotton blends, but they also need polyester in it, and they actually add some PET bottles, so polyester, yeah, in order to keep it all a little bit more together. However, if you want to make, so this would be, let's say, this is called what we did, textile, garment to textile. Oh my God, I'm mixing everything up myself now. If you want to make a garment to garment recycling, for example, now we are starting a pilot. We started a pilot project with hospital wear. So we have now received a first batch of hospital uniforms. This means we're talking about doctor uniforms, nurses uniforms, but also other types of professions that sometimes, for example, you have those who need a coating in them in order to protect them from radiation or whatnot. And so we are now busy with assessing the composition of those fabrics. And from what I understand, we need more of a half of the fabric to be cotton, and less than half has to be polyester in order for us to make a new blend. So there's also a digital scanning tools available on the market now for textile composition scanning that can be used. It's also an interesting space to watch.
Huh. So technology and innovation is deeply involved in this cycle.
It's hand in hand, and I think you have countries that as I was saying, that are more involved in subsidizing innovative projects like these, and this would be Holland. In Belgium and Flanders, this is also quite a um, quite it can be funded through Vlaio. This is a Flemish platform for support. And I think the problem is that these plants or these innovative tools are expensive to make. Also, because there is no legislation oh, yet, so it is coming. We have the extended producer's responsibility that's coming. You have the eco sustainable design regulations that are in place since July of this year, also for whole of Europe, which encourage companies to design sustainable products. But it is on different levels in different countries, so the funding subsequently is also of different speed and of different level. So if, let's say, you are an organization, a brand that is international, it is important that you look at every single market where your products are sold, or yeah, to see what kind of local initiatives you can also do in order to recycle your garments. So it's quite a pickle.
I see. I see. Um, and you can't rely only on public funds. Uh, the the interest the interesting aspect is that BeTheFibre is built on strong vision of sustainability. So we are addressing both environment and social aspects, and probably we will talk about these social aspects later. However, achieving economic sustainability can often be the biggest challenge. How do you ensure that the project remains financially viable while staying true to its values?
That's a very good question, and it's basically the core of the issue for most of us. The company exists for 40 years now, and its DNA is collecting textiles and reselling them to sustainably friendly wholesalers of textile, who then use it on the secondhand market. This is We Make Hope itself, in order to make the money to fund projects, as I said, of, for example, building a school in Uganda that we have since now nearly 10 years. I visited that school. So you need to keep the DNA close. You need to be faithful to your DNA, so what your core business is. And I think the most complicated thing for us is to transition without into more circular activities without losing um, a sight of sustainable financial situation as a whole. So that is indeed an issue, and it's something that we are now looking into and assessing. But as you say, yes, without funding, it it's not easy. I'll just keep it at that. So we're looking we work also with subsidies for certain projects, like for example the one I just mentioned with workwear, with hospital wear. But for the rest, while you're transitioning, while we're transitioning, we can't make the circular aimed uh, project as our main business model. Hopefully it will change, but
Yeah, but I mean, mm, you are also like doing some sort of um, pilot project. So my question is, do you notice some interest from public funds to invest in this kind of innovative projects?
yeah, so we are working with several other textile recyclers in Flanders under the same platform and Vlaio, and you have these hubs where you study the supply chain in Flanders. What are the best ways to study the composition of collected fabrics? What is the best way to recycle them? Are there opportunities for recycling plants in Belgium at a bigger scale? We already have a few, but they are private. Um, and those are funded by the government. But I think, generally speaking, we will see more of it kicking in, also for Brussels, etc. Once the extended producers' responsibility legislation will kick in, normally in 2025, because there it means that producers are yeah, we have to pay for the type of waste they generate, and that's called eco modulation. So per garment you will have a certain amount of cents, euro cents, that you will have to pay on top for producing such bad garments. So the less sustainable your garment is, the more you pay, is the idea. So it's already existing in Holland and France and Australia, and the eco modulation varies. So it's also a space to watch. Sounds like it's a leitmotif of the whole industry at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What the space? Yeah.
Again, it's the proof that we need the support of policies, of taxation, and of subsidies to continue improving in this field.
Yeah, that's basically the idea, because honestly speaking, we can talk, I mean, we work from the inside of the industry, so we think that everybody needs to know and everybody needs to care. And of course they do need to know and do need to care. I'm talking about the end customer. However, yeah, if you look at the numbers, and you see that, fast fashion is growing even more now that things are expensive, and our life is expensive these days. So yeah, you want your clothes to be cheaper, and unfortunately it goes not in hand in hand, but against each other, but parallel, in a parallel way. So the customer, it needs to be educated, yeah, but not in a way that we are constantly feeding them in heavy circular economy marketing or sustainability marketing, where they don't even know what it means anymore. Because I mean, show me a person who knows the difference between sustainability and circularity. Out of 100
Yeah, that's true.
people, there you'll have 2 people who know, and or care even. So it as always, as it needs to, always feel it needs to fall on, yeah, a little bit higher up. So it has to be top to bottom, because I think it is important that we as the citizens do what we can to minimize our own waste. But it is a drop in the ocean. So for me, yeah, I sit on LinkedIn quite a lot, and watch what's happening here and there, and read, and see. But okay, for my organization where I work, we try to do this every day. And even in the company itself, you can see people who care more about it than others, who will continue to buy Shane, which is shocking sometimes for our organization that tries to involve more and more circularity. Yeah, but you can't force people.
No, no, absolutely. And this is the perfect link for my next question. What role do consumers play in supporting the upcycling or recycling process, and how can they make more informed choices?
There are great projects around. I think it is more exciting to go and support. That's my personal choice. Yeah, as also a consumer. For me, it's more exciting to go and support your local project and your local initiative. Than to go to your boring, Primark. You don't know what, where, and how it's made. Do you care? Maybe you should. And I think it's more interesting. You feel more empowered to support your own project. In Brussels, there's a great shops like Human Village who with whom we work. Who have our containers and they have our accessories. I went there to talk as well because you can see that the type of shop it now has two shops because you can see that it's growing. People are interested and they do the workshops there and then they invite people to talk. So I talked there as well to the direct customer one evening last year to explain how recycling works. And they invited also a guy who invented an app here in Belgium that you can take a photo, like a Google photo of your whatever article you want to recycle and see which recycling bin you should go into. Is it the blue bag? Is it the yellow bag? Is it whatever? So that's how you involve the customers. Customers are key to make these kind of initiatives grow, and the more support they get, the more up higher up they see that there is need for more of these projects to see light, therefore funding possibly. So we're all in it together. So it's important to educate customers without being too pretentious and a bit arrogant about it.
Yeah, and we need to involve them with the right communication. And communication about textile waste management requires extra care, especially considering how terms like recycled fabric are now commonly found even on labels from fast fashion brands like H&M. And my question is, what are your thoughts on the widespread of use of these terms, and how does BeTheFibre approach communication to maintain transparency and credibility? Do you rely on any certification or specific standards to support your claims?
We work with completely different textile. We work with all sorts of waste and all sorts of waste that we collect. So we, as an organization, we should be looking at certifications for sure. It's unfortunately not yet happening, but Be the Fiber as a sub brand of the big organization, when we communicate, try to work from the sustainability strategy of helping people, planet, and how we use our profit positively. Try to be transparent about that. And when it comes to our accessories, we definitely communicate on the garment where the garment comes from and what it's made from. Now you can always scan the label and see where it's made. But then sometimes, yeah, if you want to go much further, I would really work on the supply chain transparency, so the traceability applications. Those are also coming, but that's linked to a circular identity passport. Circular identity passport is not yet set in as an obligation, but it is something that is supposed to be happening before 2030. That is something that every garment then will have to have. So as is, we are doing our best with the tools that we have. But it's also something that you will see more progress on, hopefully, in the years to come. Um, about transparency of the traceability of the supply chain when it comes to your garments purchased. One other thing is that you have the MacArthur is uh, foundation, which just released a very interesting report about circularity in marketing. So it's called Playbook for Marketing and Circularity. Everybody can download it. It's an open source PDF, and it's a great tool for marketeers to learn how to market their circular products.
And also, United Nations released a publication, a white book about communicate on how to communicate sustainability in fashion.
But that's an interesting one for me to if you can link me to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hook me up.
There are many tools that can be implemented in the marketing offices. Um, so there's something that's moving. So do you think that it's possible to make fashion sector sustainable and circular, or are those only buzzwords? And what concrete steps can brands take to genuinely contribute to a sustainable and circular system beyond just using this as marketing terms?
Well, it's a very complex question, but definitely depends on the size of your company and the way you are already sitting in the market, positioned in the market. I think that those are not bad words; those are excellent words because sustainable strategies, I presume, no, sustainability is basically using less sources that the planet that provides for you. So you're trying not to make it worse, but make it better. And this means also for human resources. It means for environmental impact, but also your profit. How do you distribute your profit, or how do you see profit? Because it's also a thing of growth. Constant growth is also a part of our linear economy. And then we're often now you hear more and more things about a little bit uh, looking at growth differently. Part of the bottom line when you are assessing your financial situation should go to basically giving back, or how do you help environmental with positive environmental or societal, social um, impact. So those are things that, as a company, I think are of essence. Um, and it depends what industry you are in. We're talking about fashion. I think there is definitely enough stuff out there. Of course, everybody wants to pay their bills and pay salaries and grow. But I think it is an interesting option to look at eco design and design for disassembly. So basically, when you are designing something like outerwear, let's say Patagonia tries to do that, and Decathlon, those are big companies who have big money. Uh, but you design something with the zippers and buttons and things, but you are looking at how it can be disassembled. So how can it, be recycled in a more easy way? So how the way you design things is crucial. Of course, the stuff you already put in the market, you need to find ways to locally find partnerships with your recycling companies to see what can be done. As I said right in the beginning, there's a lot of secondhand right now. So there's already enough for generations to come that is already now sitting in plastic bags or whatever bags in recycling facilities. And the supply chain needs to be always looked at as in a more in a more zoomed in way. Let's say what is the fabric that you're using? Is a recycled cotton? Is not recycled cotton? Also, when you are recycling textiles, is there a way to increase the percentage of recycled fabric, or is it something you can look into innovative ways of using different types of fabric on, I'll say something, like algae, like mushrooms, or you have all these sorts of different things. Of course, we don't know in the long term the quality of this, and in 10 years whatnot, but I think it's always important to have a part of your business that is assessing innovation and partnering up with new pilot projects. Yeah, that is something that I think is important. And on a social aspect, it is important to basically care about who you're working with, and how these people are treated is really of essence, I think. And that's a big problem, I think, mostly for us all, because we don't know what's happening. It's a long,
Yeah.
it's a
No.
big subject, so I can talk about it for hours. But yeah, it's for each company is a little different. But I think caring, or starting to care already is a big thing. And just zooming into your the way you produce stuff, and what it's made of, and who you work with, and assess all the 3 Ps: people, planet, and profit, is the good start for 2025 as a New Year's resolution. Giving a toss, caring.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a very powerful message. And again, we cannot help but continue repeating that we need to focus on the entire supply chain, from the raw materials to the end life of our products.
Yeah, that's really essential, because I think what's been happening so far for now, I mean, practically a century, is like, things pop up in the shop. And we're like, "Oh, that's nice." And I follow somebody on Instagram who is like an international model. Yeah, how unoriginal of me. But who lives in Uganda, so country I visited for 12 days to visit projects that we there support. And she talks about, she travels to fashion weeks in London and Paris and whatnot. And she talks about, she lives in a village still in Uganda, and she there communicates about how the food is gets into their plates, and it's literally from the tree, from a harvesting. And she shows how complicated the food, the meal, getting just your regular corn, whatever, into the thing, into your plate, how long it takes. And it's crazy, because that really also slows down the way you live. So you have really the slow life. And that's totally the opposite. So she kind of educates her followers to, have a look at how our food gets into our plates, and get the most natural food intake as possible from the local producers. And I think that's her a very strong message. Of course, we know that bio is more expensive, organic is more expensive, but even if you try to have a little percentage of it, is already something. And that's it's also caring. It's also caring about the local producer, who prefers you to go to buy vegetables from his field than bringing strawberries from across the world in winter.
Yeah, yeah. The food example is perfect, because it's a while that we are asking where our food is come from, how it's made, and then it's related to all the movement with buying more organic. Veganism movement also is somehow related to this question. So why do we not keep asking this question for older stuffs, like our clothes, like our technology, anything as so a history behind it. So we need to know a little bit more. But I totally understand that is difficult, and it requires attention, time, care that we not always have
And money.
because we
Don't
are.
forget the number one,
Yeah, that's
unfortunately,
true.
money, because I think that's the issue these days for most. And also, I think people are getting bored of the marketing that the brands put out there. And I think they are getting bored with the claims, and they're getting bored and confused with what is the truth, what isn't the truth. And I think that's something that we really need to then show real examples. So like have real workshops in the shops, have real examples in the retail chains to show what is how it's made, what's how going on, and not just say like, oh, this is a label with this and this and this. Look at this, just believe us, because people are not idiots, but they are following the trend. So the more people are educated, or at least shown the real truth, or in their own shop, the more people will follow that. And I think that's clear examples are the shops that what we work with in Antwerp or Brussels, that actually do proper workshops, or do have fun with it. Not only like, dragging people down all the time, saying, "Ah, you're only doing the bad choices, and you're only buying the wrong things, and everything has to be like this, and you should." It's really getting people a headache. And I think that's also why it's the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, the playbook, about circular marketing. It's really a good way, because it makes it a little bit more fun. That's I think the main issue I have. It's becoming not too depressing.
Mm. Yeah, not make, don't let people feel guilty for their choices because again, money is a pivotal role in this, and we cannot always buy sustainable clothes or I don't know organic food because it's more expensive. Let's say of the traditional things. So
A little guilt is good. A little guilt. We should all feel a little guilty,
mhm,
or very guilty, but at least do a little, or feel very guilty and do a lot, or a little guilty or do a
mhm.
little bit. But you need to do something. Is that is definitely true.
Yeah, and second handing in fashion, I think it's can help a lot, and I see with Vinted, but there's also some some issues related to the use of second hand because people can be more prone to buy more because there's Vinted, we can resell that. So, what do you think about the market of second hand?
I think now I think it's great that it's shifted, to be honest. Like, I think it's great that it's shifted. I think it's great that it's a lot of cities, small and big, have secondhand shops. I think it's great. I'm 47 now. When I was 20 or earlier, we had those already, but they were, we weren't that many to go. We all had something secondhand. Now it's become kind of the norm. You have Depop, you have Vinted. These are all great initiatives. As you say, people now buy to resell. I get that. But at the end of the day, they buy something that is more normally, if you want to resell your garment, yeah, on Vinted or on Depop, you buy something of more value. So normally, if you're buying a designer or something a little bit more that has more value for other people, it should normally have more of a sustainable um, aspect to it.
Yeah, that's positive.
That's the whole importance of having legislation put in for bigger brands, and that's so if you are now buying, allez, Louis Vuitton, and they are selling you same quality goods as fast fashion, that already as a starting point is not okay, right? So normally, if you're buying something more expensive, you are hoping that is more quality, so it will last. Then you're selling it to a third and a fourth and a fifth and a seventh person, so it keeps it in circulation. So per se, I don't have a problem with that. The problem of reselling vintage Shane, good luck. I don't know how much you're gonna get. 2-3 euros. Fine, try. Uh, I mean, I sell on Vinted too, but I can see from myself that the stuff I sell that has more value is the stuff that is better made normally. So I have no issue with Vinted. I have no problem with Vestiaire Collectif. I think they're all really good initiatives, and the communication of Vestiaire Collectif is fantastic. It's really good on this, and they really take their time to communicate in a fun but powerful way. Flag. I want them to take the flag and lead the way. Honestly, secondhand as a shift, I think is great too. Um, but as I said, yeah, there's way too much crap around. Sorry, in secondhand that ends up in the bin. So at this point, we are between two chairs. We are now suffocating with crappy secondhand. We have massive Shane and Trimark and whatnot claiming that they are making sustainable choices, and we have innovation starting to grow. So it's a really interesting space to work in, and if I have opportunity to work for, to help other brands to look for ways to make their circular strategies stronger, I'm all for it.
That's great. And considering innovation, there's any innovation that you're excited for in the next years?
I think the one that I really am enjoying at the moment is the design for disassembly. So basically, you have different facilities that are trying to creating like these spaces where you can heat up your garments. So it's an outerwear, let's say. They heat up the garment. It's actually in Brussels. It's called Hizotex. And they heat up. They have this hub. I haven't visited it yet, but I really want to. And they heat up your garment so you can dissect your zipper and your button from the rest of the jacket, the skiing jacket. I think outerwear is a very complicated field. So I would say that the most interesting stuff is happening also in that area for me. You have Decathlon, you have Patagonia trying to make the first um, d- re- it, it's not fully recyclable, but recyclable winter jackets and things like that. So that's really fascinating stuff to watch. The other one is definitely the recycling hubs popping up, in Switzerland and Germany. And so that's also something that we're going to see. Now, let's say it would be good that the demand for recycled goods from the brands, or the recycled fabrics from the brands, would increase in order for them not to recycle their stuff, our textiles, for nothing.
Do you see also big brands asking for more recycled textile?
It's a part of the demand of a lot of the companies, but it stays quite a small fraction at this point. But if you go to brands, like you go to Filippa K, which is a Swedish brand, you'll see like they made a collab with the Resortex, the the Belgian, so for dissolvable thread.
Yeah.
So things like that. Or you have companies that use more textile waste as a part of their textile clothing collection. You have Zeeman that works in Holland with Wolcott. Wolcott being a family-owned recycling plant that makes A to Z chemical recycling. So they collect, they sort, they recycle, and they fiberize into new fabric, and then they also produce new fabric. So they really do like a circular uh, supply chain in that sense. And they managed to work with Zeeman, which is a low end price point chain in Belgium and in Holland of household goods. So with them, they produced a collection of towels and things like that made from textile waste. So you see it popping up, you see it happening more and more. Um, and that's great. But of course, without legislations, again, it can feel like a lazy progress. Yeah.
Well, it takes time. Absolutely. Yeah. And let's remember that it's okay to research for innovative textiles made from lyocell, with bamboo, with algae, and other things like that. But it's always important to remember that by now we need to face the amount of textiles that we already produce. So we also need to research for recycling ways to get rid of that.
Totally, totally on point.
We're reaching the end of our conversation, but I wanted to ask you, what are your next projects in the sustainable fashion field?
Look, right now we are trying to start a more developed at my current job, trying to start a more elaborate sorting project. So basically, to be able to sort for companies sur mesure. So like the waste, the compositions that they want, or the type of clothes they want, the type of colors they want, in order to satisfy their needs for recycled garments. So I think right now we have been uh, quite traditional, besides except for the innovative part of with our chemical recycling and accessories in the way we sort. We only now have started with the hospital wear and scanning the composition. So I think more to make it a little bit more sur mesure. So what people want is what we will provide them in order to touch more industries with our collected textiles. I personally would love to also work on a with a brand or something like that where it would be for me as a fashion designer originally fascinating to work on eco design and design for assembly and work on something like that. That is really something I would love to do.
So let's make a public call. If anyone who's listening is working with eco design, please contact Valeria.
Yeah, no, but those are my little dreams that I want to make reality in 2025.
Yeah, why not? I think that is spreading. So probably we'll see more of this eco design and new way of thinking. The also the pattern making of textile of the
Yeah, the
clothes.
zero waste design is also very interesting, and
Absolutely.
how they adjust to the so the companies that are using like the waste when the the post industrial, so that means pre consumer. So when they make a garment,
Uh-huh.
and then you have the waste of the fabric at the factory. People, some companies recycle that back into their own garments and future collections. So that's also something interesting. So you can't completely, always cut out waste of your production or your sample making, but at least you can use it as a recycling fiber, raw material for your recycled fiber for your next garment.
Yeah,
If I made
totally.
myself clear, I don't know.
Yeah, totally useful. Yeah, absolutely. Because you bought that material, so why you need to waste it?
Yeah, but that's it's always I remember as a designer and having had my own brand, I know we had a lot of waste. I mean, that's just something that you have. You have a wash sewing machine, you have an overlock machine, you have waste next to your machine because you cut out the pattern. Yeah, it's something that we didn't think about before. I remember that we had a brand that was mostly for adult wear, but from the waste back in the day, so over 10 years ago, from the waste we started making kids wear. So we made sweatshirts that were, for adults, but you could see that there's waste, and you could take that for a sleeve or but that's very small scale because you can't, yeah, if you want to produce mass market or at least make living out of it by exporting, this needs to be scalable.
Yeah. Yeah, probably mass market. I don't know, will ever be something like not more how can I say? Mass market will ever leave our way of producing and we will go back to local small scale production, in your opinion? Is it something possible?
I think it's actually happening already because you have more and more brands that are producing back locally. The issue is that, yeah, you have over the last 20 or 30 years had a decline of the textile industry in Europe. In Belgium, we had a lot of textiles, and a lot of designers were probably made in Belgium. Now Holland, I know designers in Holland personally. They're really cool, a cool brand. They basically brought back producing locally. They are into circularity, and they use local blankets or whatever they find and they make them into extremely cool garments. But they also employ local people who are seamstresses, etc. So maybe they are far away from the market, employment market. So they kind of made this a growing platform for local production, and I think that's happening a little bit more and more. Of course, the way we are paid here is more than they are paid, let's say, in Bangladesh or whatnot. Um, but I think it's happening more and more. So even though fast fashion, in my eyes, will never leave, as you say, our wardrobe, I think there is a way to scale up the projects that we can scale up locally and buy more also of these kind of brands, at least to have some sort of a sustainably minded wardrobe, not fully sustainable, whatever, but at least, go in the direction of local and mix it with your fast fashion if you really must. And secondhand. Wow. So that would be
Yeah.
for me, the idea, at least for 2025, because I don't see it changing drastically in the next year. But maybe once the legislations kick in, we will all be confronted a bit more with what we need to do urgently.
Yes. So this is a powerful and hopeful message since our community is mainly made by small and local designers. So to conclude, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to build a sustainable fashion business rooted in recycling and upcycling? Are there any key lessons you've learned from your journey with BeTheFibre that you'd like to share?
I would say it's not only BeTheFibre, it's with my own brand or working with other fashion companies. I think now there are way more tools and available to all of the designers and just entrepreneurs, whatever they are, looking to achieve. But you will be confronted with the necessity of having a transparent communication, and also transparent, more or less transparent supply chain. Because if you are starting a business in a year or two, yeah, it will not be something that you can shy away from or hide away from. So there's gazillion tools. For me, Ellen MacArthur Foundation is really kind of my go-to for the essentials, for building, for knowing about circular economy. um I also think, yeah, there's also, you have these educational programs that you can follow. Of course, they're not always cheap. But for example, I followed the one in Cambridge. It wasn't expensive, surprisingly. And we were around 400 people from around the world during COVID. And, I basically, managed to get subsidies for it from Brussels because I have a company and it's an educational program. So you can get subsidized partially for what you are learning through the government. Normally, in the civilized countries, we have access to these things. Hopefully, I don't know. In Belgium, at least, is the case. So educate yourself, and there's a lot of tools. And Ellen MacArthur is great for this kind of stuff as well as a beginner. Let's say YouTube has a lot about it, and I learned a lot also through YouTube. You type in anything, or sustainable fabric or recycled fabric, it gives you gazillion choices. Social media has a lot, and honestly, so that the educational part is quite easy, let's say. I think you need to keep your finger on the pulse because it changes very fast. So that's something by monthly to check in what's happening is the modus now, and the rest is obvious. I think just try not to be too wasteful.
Oh, yeah.
Is it
Basic rule.
because we the rest is out there. I'm not gonna if I need to give advice, I can give it privately. But to run a business is still to run a business, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
I know numbers are still numbers. Profit is still profit. It's just the way you manage your profit and the way you manage your waste is and the way you design from the get-go that are now completely not completely different, but are looked at in a completely different way.
Okay, so thank you for your tips and your valuable insights, Valeria. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
And good luck with your project, and see you in the next project.
Thanks, and good luck with your platform. Huh?
Thank you so much.
I hope it grows.
Oh, we really hope that. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Green Fashion Dialogues. We hope you will find our discussion insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. You can also follow the Stars project on social media to stay updated on our latest initiatives and events. Remember, together we can make fashion more sustainable and inclusive. Until next time, I'm Simona Vettore, and this has been Green Fashion Dialogues.